The loud bang of a gun rang out across the open grassland as Daniel drove his jeep through the African Wildlife Preserve. Hunters breaking the law had been seen near the eastern edge, and every moment mattered. Then, all of a sudden, he hit the brakes hard. A single elephant stood still in the middle of the dusty path ahead, completely blocking his way. "Please, move," Daniel said quietly but urgently, beeping his horn gently. The elephant didn't move at all. Daniel had worked at this big wildlife preserve for 15 years, keeping animals from rhinos to elephants safe while working hard on conservation. As a trained heart doctor, he would often check the hearts of sleeping animals with special equipment, getting very close to these amazing creatures. But he never forgot for a moment how dangerous they could be. Even though they lived in a protected area, these were still, as you'd expect, wild animals. Even when they were given medicine to make them sleep, Daniel stayed alert and always aware that things could turn bad very fast. He had seen coworkers get hurt, attacked, lose arms or legs, or even die from animals that seemed calm. But despite all this, Daniel couldn't think of a more satisfying and meaningful job anywhere else in the world. Another beautiful day in paradise, Daniel had said that morning as he began his daily checks, but now that paradise gave him a puzzle. The elephant should have moved. Maybe it was just crossing the road and would clear the path any second. But as time passed, Daniel noticed the elephant wasn't moving at all. It just stood there, completely still and odd-looking. Daniel knew better than to get close to these huge animals. They might seem gentle and kind from far away, but they were also protective, aggressive, and extremely deadly when upset or stressed. He stopped his car completely at a very safe distance and waited patiently. There was nothing else he could do right now. He could have turned around and found another way, but Daniel felt strongly that he needed to check on the other animals and had to finish his round somehow. 5 minutes went by, then 10, and then 20, until finally a whole hour had passed. The elephant stayed in the same spot, sometimes turning around or moving its huge ears in the hot African sun. Daniel started to feel more and more worried, feeling that something was seriously wrong. Maybe the elephant had gotten separated from its family and was lost. They sometimes waited at places that were often passed by in hopes that their family would come by again and they could join them again. But something in Daniel's gut told him this wasn't what was happening. Not here. "This isn't normal behavior," Daniel said to himself, tapping his fingers nervously on the steering wheel. Something's definitely not right with this situation. He carefully reached into the floor area of the passenger side and got out his powerful binoculars. He needed a much closer look without putting himself in danger. Maybe the elephant had something stuck in its foot, stopping it from moving. Or maybe it was eating from a small bush Daniel couldn't see from where he was. He put the binoculars to his eyes and carefully adjusted them until the fuzzy image slowly became perfectly clear. What he saw made his eyes open wide in complete horror. "Oh my God," he whispered, his voice shaking with emotion. The poor elephant was covered in painful, awful-looking sores and infected lumps. He could see several of them leaking disgusting fluid down the poor elephant's body. Daniel tried not to cry as the elephant suddenly turned to look straight at his vehicle, as if it knew he was there. It was almost like the animal had put itself there on purpose, knowing someone would eventually drive by and see its terrible condition. Maybe it was actively looking for help for its obvious pain and suffering. Elephants really were remarkably smart creatures. Daniel wiped tears from his eyes and grabbed his radio to contact headquarters right away. "Base, this is Daniel on Route 7, he called in urgently. "I've got an elephant with what looks like a bad skin infection or bug infestation. It's not moving and seems to be in a lot of pain." "Got it, Daniel," The person on the radio responded quickly. "Stay in your vehicle. Animal doctors are being sent. They'll be there in 20 minutes. "Understood," Daniel replied professionally. But as he looked at the suffering animal, he already knew he wouldn't be following that order. They told Daniel to stay in his vehicle and not get any closer, but Daniel couldn't help getting a little closer to the poor elephant. It was clearly in pain and upset, and he wanted to make it feel less alone. Daniel started to slowly drive towards the elephant, trying his best not to scare it. He got to within 15 or 20 meters of the beautiful creature and turned off his car. For a long moment he studied the elephant and its painful and leaking sores with his own eyes, and felt a lump in his throat as tears once again filled his eyes. The elephant waved his trunk at Daniel as if to signal to him, but showed no signs of aggressive behavior. In fact, the elephant fell to its knees and then laid itself down on the road. It really was in bad shape. Daniel made a quick decision. He got out of his car and slowly started to walk towards the gentle giant. It let out a deep moan, as if asking the approaching man for help. Daniel was still very aware that this was a wild and possibly dangerous animal. But he walked to within a few feet of the animal, truly seeing how terrible the sores and lumps were. "Hey there, big guy," Daniel said softly, his voice gentle and reassuring. "I see you're not feeling too good. Help is on the way, I promise." He then did something truly amazing and touching. He sat down several meters from the elephant's head and started to talk to it. Daniel could see the animal was listening, and even though it couldn't understand what Daniel was saying, it clearly felt a connection with him. So Daniel just talked and talked and talked about anything and everything. It was clearly giving comfort to the poor animal. "You know, I've always been amazed by elephants," Daniel continued, keeping his voice steady and calm. "You're the smartest animals in the preserve. Did you know elephants never forget a face? I bet you remember everyone who's ever been kind to you, and those who haven't." The elephant's eyes seemed to watch him closely, its breathing becoming calmer with each passing minute. Eventually, he heard some vehicles approaching. It was the other rangers that had shown up to help the poor elephant. Daniel had to reassure them that things were safe and that the elephant wasn't aggressive, and before long the animal doctors were studying the creature's body. "Daniel, what the hell are you doing?" shouted Sarah, the head animal doctor, as she jumped out of her vehicle. "That animal could kill you in a second." "It's okay, Sarah," Daniel called back, not moving from his position. "He's calm. He knows we're here to help. Look at these infections. They're all over his body." Sarah approached carefully, medical bag in hand. "This is completely against the rules," she said, shaking her head while examining the elephant from a safer distance. "But since you're already here, what do you think it is?" "Looks like some kind of bug infection," Daniel replied. "Several swollen areas, some of them open and leaking. He's in a lot of pain, but he's not aggressive." He needed to be given medicine to make him sleep while they gave him treatment, so a brave animal doctor went to the back of the elephant and stuck it with a thick and long needle. The elephant moved slightly but didn't make a fuss. As the medicine started to work, the elephant's eyes started to close, but just before he fell completely asleep, his trunk suddenly reached out and slowly wrapped around Daniel's ankle, as if to hold his hand and say, "Thank you." Once again, Daniel was brought to tears at the amazingness of elephants and how smart and beautiful they were. "Would you look at that?" whispered one of the younger animal doctors in wonder. "I've never seen anything like it." Sarah nodded, her initial anger softening. "It's almost like he knows exactly what we're doing." The animal doctors quickly got to work, treating each and every sore and lump individually, opening some, putting on creams and ointments, bandaging them up, and injecting various medicines and painkillers. They had to work fast. as the elephant could wake up at any moment. But all the while, Daniel just sat with the elephant's trunk softly wrapped around his ankle. He stroked it like a mother would with their child's hand. If it gave the elephant some comfort, it was worth it. "We've done all we can for now," Sarah said after about 40 minutes of intensive treatment. "This is one of the worst cases of bug infection I've seen. He's going to need more care later." "Will he make it?" Daniel asked, concern clear in his voice. Sarah shrugged. "Hard to say. The next few hours will be critical. The medicine should help with the pain and swelling, but those deep infections are worrying." But would the elephant be okay when he woke up? No one was sure, but what happened next will leave you speechless. Sorry for the interruption. Before we continue with the story, I kindly ask you to like the video and subscribe to this channel. It is very important for us. Thank you very much. Within minutes after the vets finished working, the elephant began to wake up. It took about half an hour for it to fully wake, but it eventually started standing up. Daniel and all the other rangers slowly backed away to their vehicles. The elephant carefully touched its side with its trunk where the vets had been working. It didn't seem hurt or in pain anymore. "Move back slowly," Sarah told the team. "No quick movements. He'll be confused from the medicine." Safe in their vehicles, the vets and Daniel watched the elephant closely, making sure it was okay. If it had been a smaller animal, they would have taken it to the vet clinic for treatment. But elephants are too big to move easily. The huge animal took several steps toward the vehicles, making everyone tense. Was it going to attack? Would it try to crush and flip their vehicles? Elephants can certainly do such things. "Be ready to drive away if needed," Sarah said over the radio. "But let's give him room to understand what's happening." They all waited nervously to see what would happen next, but they were shocked by what they saw. The elephant lifted its trunk high and stood up on its back legs. Standing tall for several seconds, it made a loud noise from its trunk, and when its front feet hit the ground again, it waved its trunk at Daniel as if saying thanks for helping. Instead of leaving, the elephant took a few steps, then stopped and turned around. It raised its trunk and made a "come here" motion, then waited, looking straight at Daniel's vehicle. "I think it wants us to follow," Daniel said, amazed at what he was seeing. "That's silly," said Mark, one of the more doubtful rangers. "It's just random behavior. Elephants don't signal humans." But the elephant did the same thing again, walking a bit, stopping and looking back expectantly. "I'm following him," Daniel decided, starting his engine. "You can stay if you want." "This completely breaks the rules," Sarah objected, but then sighed. "But so did getting out of your vehicle earlier." "Fine, but we stay at a safe distance." The team carefully followed as the elephant led them deeper into the preserve, moving steadily despite its condition. After almost 2 kilometers, the elephant stopped at the edge of an open area near a water hole. What they saw left them all speechless with surprise. A small group of about 10 elephants stood there, many showing the same painful sores and bumps. 2 young baby elephants were especially affected, their small bodies covered with angry red marks. "It's the whole family," Sarah whispered, her scientific doubt giving way to wonder. "They're all sick." "He brought us to his family," Daniel said quietly. "He wasn't just looking for help for himself." That's not possible," Mark stammered. "How could an elephant possibly understand the idea of leading us to others who need treatment?" Daniel turned to face his coworkers. "Actually, it's not as hard to believe as you might think. Elephants have been shown to solve complex problems and help others." "He's right, Doctor." Amelia Watson, the reserve's research biologist who had joined them, confirmed. Elephants have brain parts specifically developed for complex social interactions. They show empathy, cooperation, and have amazing memory abilities. There was a case in Kenya, Daniel added, where an elephant with a poacher's arrow in its head traveled over 50 miles directly to a human facility known for treating elephants. They remember faces, places, and can solve multi-step problems. The messenger elephant behavior actually makes sense from an evolutionary view, Dr. Watson explained as they prepared treatment kits. In a highly social species with strong family bonds, the ability to seek help for the group would be beneficial. Their brains are especially developed in areas related to social thinking and decision-making. As the team worked to put each elephant to sleep and treat them, they found the source of the infection, a parasite that had contaminated the water hole, likely brought in from outside the preserve. If we hadn't discovered this, Sarah admitted, the infection could have spread throughout the preserve, affecting many species. This elephant didn't just save its herd, it potentially saved many other animals too. And it knew exactly who to ask for help, Daniel said, watching the messenger elephant protectively standing near the babies as they were treated. That's not random behavior or coincidence. Over the next week, the team returned daily to treat the herd and clean the water hole. The elephants, surprisingly, seemed to understand the humans were helping and stayed calm during treatments. The messenger elephant always greeted Daniel first, gently touching him with its trunk. When the treatment was complete and the herd showed signs of getting better, the team made one final visit. The messenger elephant approached Daniel's vehicle, its body now healing well. The elephant lifted its trunk high and stood up on its back legs. Standing tall for several seconds, it made a loud noise from its trunk, and when its front feet hit the ground again, it waved its trunk at Daniel as if saying thanks for helping. The elephant finally slowly turned and started walking from the road into the dusty distance and away. Did you enjoy the story? Have you ever seen an animal seek help or show trust toward a human? We'd love to hear your experience in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give us a like. Sometimes, the deepest bonds are built not with words, but through empathy, kindness, and trust. Thanks for listening. See you in the next video. Wishing you a wonderful day.